Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Pokemon FireRed. In the last part, we finished our business in the Pokemon Tower, then headed west to Celadon and found ourselves here in Fuchia City, where we actually can find the next fishing guru. And by the next one, I mean who was supposed to be the second one because he gives you the good rod. This is the middle of the rods. You can catch more Pokemon than Magikarp, but not the Pokemon you can catch with the super rod with it. Speaking of which, the only Pokemon you can encounter here in Fuchsia are from the water. When we eventually gain the ability to surf, you can find Psyduck and Slowpokes in the water, but you can also get them from fishing with the Super Rod. Similarly, the Super Rod can get you Goldines, Sea Kings, and Gyarados, and the Good Rod can get you Poliwags, Goldines, and Magikarps.
Hello, my beef into Safari. Help me, please.
Sure.
Oh, puppy, puffle. Hip hip Safari.
We'll find out what's with that deal in a few minutes, because for right now we can actually explore Fuchsia a bit more. Fuchsia is, I guess, a mix of a zoo and a conservation zone. A lot of rare Pokemon are shown off here, even some revived ones like the Pokemon I didn't get the fossil for back in Mount Moon, Kabuto, is going to show up in one of these little enclosures. But the main attraction here, aside from the gym, is the Safari Zone, which... how do I explain it? I guess the best way to say it is a giant conservation zone, but also an attraction for Pokemon trainers? There's Kabuto. I love the way that thing looks. It's adorable, but I didn't get the fossil for it because it's kind of a shit Pokemon. Let's just have the person here in the Safari Zone explain it themselves. Welcome to the Safari Zone. For just 500, you can play the Safari game. You can roam the wide open Safari and catch what you like. Would you like to play? Sure. That'll be 500, please. We only use a special kind of Pokeballs here. And we get 3 Safari Balls. And they'll call us in the PA when we run out of time with Safari Balls. Essentially, this is a giant wide open space with a lot of rare Pokemon for you to catch, but you're not actually battling them. And I actually want to take my Super Rod out and fish right here at this lake because one of my final endgame team Pokemon is catchable here. Now, this took me some time to find. I had to jump cut to it because I found a lot of Goldines evolutions. I think even a couple of Goldines along the way. But I did eventually find myself a Dratini. The mechanics for the Safari Zone are thus. You don't battle, you can only throw Safari Balls, Bait, or Rocks. Balls, well, that's fairly self-explanatory. Bait will make the Pokemon stay longer, but they're harder to catch. And Bait, they can flee more easily, but they're more likely to be caught. Because every Pokemon does have a chance of leaving each turn. I want to say... Dratini's about a 1 in 3 chance per turn to flee at base. Dratini overall, though, Dragon type, which means it's only weak to Ice and Dragon in this generation. Its attack is its highest stat, but by the time it reaches its final evolution, it's going to be a very good tanky kind of Pokemon for my tastes. Plus, it has a lot of decent attack moves for me to use later on, so I am going to catch one, though this one does ultimately flee, so I had to spend about 5 more minutes looking for another one. In terms of the Pokemon you can catch in the Safari Zone, it depends on which of the 4 areas you're in it, and I'll go over those while we're on our way to our next destination. As for this Dratini, though, it's cute, but by the time it's evolved, it's shaped like a friend, it radiates friend energy, just a real generally good fella, and I know 2 people who happen to share a name who I can define as that very much. So, it's time for Andrew to join our team. Hey guys, how you guys doing? The 2 of you know who you are. Alright, so there are 4 zones to the Fuchsia's Safari Zone. The central hub area, over here is Area 1, to the north is Area 2, and to the west is Area 3. By the way, if I happen to catch Pokemon along the way, I do generally show it off. For the most part, unless it's a Pokemon I really want to catch, I just throw a Safari Ball until either it gets caught or it doesn't. Safari Balls, I think, also have a higher catch rate. I want to say they're roughly the equivalent of an Ultra Ball, maybe? I might be wrong on that. They might be Great Balls. In the central area, you can capture the Nidorans in their evolutions, Parasect, which is Paris' evolutions, Venonats executes Rhyhorns, Chanseys, Scythers, and Pincers in the grass. By surfing, you can find Psyducks and Slowpokes. Fishing, you can find Magikarps, Poliwags, Goldines, Magikarps, Psyducks, Slowpokes, Goldines, Magikarps, Sea Kings, Dratinis, and even Dratini's evolution. Well, that's like a 1% chance. Over here in the east, you can find the Nidorans in their evolutions, Paris in its evolution, Doduo, Executes, Kangaskhan's even, Scythers, and Pincers. By the way, this is where you can also find Dratinis and Scythers beyond using coins in the coin game. Oh, hey, Rhydon! I was actually looking for one of you. I already mentioned, but Rhyhorn in its evolution, when that happens, become very good physical ground rock type Pokemon. And while that typing is not the best, I think that has some of the highest amount of weaknesses in Gen 1. I want it. And since Rhyhorn was one of the first Pokemon designed, has been around since the start, I figure I have a specific name for this one. Strong but not too bright, this Pokemon can even shatter a skyscraper with its charging tackles. Someone who's been with me for years, one of my eldest friends. Welcome to the team, Scott. Well, sort of. He and Andrew are now in the boxes, but we'll pick them up later. By the way, surfing over in the eastern area, you can find Psyducks and Slowpokes. Fishing, the usual Magikarp, Poliwag, Goldines. Everything that you can find in Area 1, really. Up here in Area 2, the Nidorans and their evolutions. Paris, you can find Venonat's evolution, Venomoth. Executes, Rhyhorns, Chanseys. You can also find Tauros, but that's a 1% chance. Back in the original Gen 1, Tauros, I believe, was the meta because it had such good stats for the era. Surfing, up here you can find Psyduck and Slowpoke, big surprise. Fishing is the exact same. And in the final area to the west, you can find the Nidorans and their evolutions, Venonat and its evolution, Doduo, Execute, Kangaskhan, and Tauros. And I think at that point, the surfing and fishing are the exact same. You can get a good amount of Pokedex stuff done here. Please find the Safari Warden's lost gold teeth. They're around here somewhere. Oh, so that's what that guy wanted. No, it wouldn't be so bad if they weren't 5 feet away from the sign asking to help find them. Because, that's pretty stupid. And extraordinarily lazy on the staff's behalf. Behalf? Ah, finally! You're the first person to reach the secret house. Although I made a campaign for our grand opening, I was getting worried that no one would win our campaign prize. Congratulations, you've won. And we get HM03. This is Surf. When we're actually able to use it out of battle, it allows you to surf across the water on any Pokemon that can learn it. It's also an absurdly strong water-type move, and is the main reason that I have not taught Chris a water-type move, because I was waiting for this one. Also, yeah, the person at the start of the Safari Zone briefly mentioned it. There is a time limit in the Safari Zone for you, but it's not an actual time limit, it's a step count limit. You have 600 steps before you're kicked out. However, a way you can abuse that and just be in here for as long as you want to, if you tap the D-pad without walking in that direction, you will just face that direction ever so slightly. And if you do that in grass, it does count as a step for encounters. So if you just stay in one place and tap the D-pad over and over again, you can run into encounters without using a single step up. Therefore, you can find whatever Pokemon you're looking for, hopefully more easily. There's also various rest houses that I think have hints towards what Pokemon are available, what items there are to find in the Safari Zone, because there's a couple I just don't grab because there's too many. Though I should have grabbed that one right there, because that is the Quake Claw. That is a hold item that has a chance of making the Pokemon move first no matter what. That's really good for a slower Pokemon. And honestly, before I go challenge the end game, I might come back and grab that, because that is just that good. And for now, I'm just going to spend my last steps here just kind of walking around and catching what I can. And I do manage to catch 2 particular Pokemon, a Venonat as well as a Doduo. Doduo is the pre-evolution of Dodrio, who we saw last part. Normal flying type, which means they are weak against rock, electric, and ice. It's got high attack and speed to start, and that only gets better in Dodrio. It's not a bad flying type. There are better ones, I'd estimate, just from dual typing, like Charizard, but it's not awful if you're looking for a dedicated one. I mean, Dodrio in particular can learn Tri-Attack, which is a very powerful move. And now it's time for us to assemble our team, sort of. I did catch that Nidorino in there, and just because, why not, I have a Moonstone, I might as well evolve it into its final evolution. By using the Moonstone, Nidorino will evolve into Nidoking, which is a poison ground type which is weak to ground, water, psychic, and ice. It's got a pretty good attack stat, and I think its special attack and speed are okay. Not to my taste, though I have used it and its counterpart Nidoqueen a few times over the years. From what I recall, I want to say Nidoqueen is more to my tastes, but I actually can't recall because it's been that long. We'll see one later on in the storyline anyway, nudge nudge wink wink. And with that, now our team is finally assembled. And let's give the Warden his golden teeth. Thanks, son. You're a real lifesaver. No one can understand a word that I said, not a one. I was too ashamed to show my face around the office even. I'm gonna give you something for your trouble. And we get HM04, which is Strength. This is a very powerful normal type move. If anyone still has like Scratch or Tackle, especially Tackle, I'd just recommend replacing it with this. And in the field, you are now able to use this to push large rocks, like the one that's even in this very house. I'm teaching it to Scott just so he has something that's not Stomp or Tail Whip to start off. Because for right now, he is going to be one of my biggest physical attack users. You do need this HM to beat the game, by the way. You need a lot of the HMs to beat the game. Now I think about it, though. Because you need Cuts, you need Strength, you need Surf. You don't need Flash. I don't think you need Rock Smash when we eventually find that, but I can't recall for this game. I know you need it in Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. I think you need Waterfall when we eventually find that for post-game, but that's about it from my memory. I actually can't recall the other ones. Fly's never needed. Fly is technically never needed. Now, though, it's time for the Fuchia Gym. Yo, champ in the making. Fuchia Gym's a tricked-up place. It's riddled with invisible walls. Koga might appear close, but he's blocked off. You have to find gaps in the walls to reach him. Before we get into the gimmick of this place itself, let's talk about this guy's new Pokemon. And it's the only new Pokemon in this gym. Despite being a poison-type gym, most of the trainers in Fuchia Gym use psychic types like Hypno. This is the evolution of Drowsy starting from level 26. Pure psychic types are weak to Bug, Ghost, and Dark. It's really defensive. Its special defense is really high compared to Kadabra's high special attack. Like I said, when we found Drowsy, I believe, back around Vermilion, the choice in the original Gen 1 for Psychics was essentially if you wanted higher attack from the Abra line or higher defenses from the Drowsy line. For my tastes, I've always preferred the Kadabra line because I do like to do more damage than take damage, I guess. But it's not a bad choice. But yeah, the Fuchia Gym is mostly comprised of Psychic types. There's a lot of Drowsies, a lot of Hypnos. There's still Poison types, like the Grimer line and the Coughing line in specific make a lot of appearances from the trainers in here. But whenever you see the Juggler class, which in this place are the guys that look like they have mohawks for some reason, or at least that's how I always took the sprite, they're going to have Psychics, whereas if they look like not that, they're Tamers who are more likely to use the Poison types. You'll also encounter, I think, a couple of Arboks. But the gimmick with this gym is, as the guy at the statue said, invisible walls. Though they are surprisingly visible. If you look at the floor tiles, just to the left of this guy even right now, you can see that the one that was right behind him has like lighter pixels on the corners. That's how you can tell if they're the invisible wall or not. The corners of those that are actually walls are brightened up to closer to a white to stand out a bit. If I'm recalling the original Gen 1 correctly, that kind of trick was still there, just a bit harder to see given the limited color palette. But in this game, it's very easy to find your way around. Just keep your eye more on the floor than where you are, and you should be fine. Also, from my memories of the anime, this is probably the gym in Gen 1 that stands out the most, at least in terms of Ash not cheating to use sprinklers, because the Fuchsia Gym was just outright almost a ninja school. Traps all over the place, Venonats doing all sorts of weirdness. It was really cool. Mind you, the adaptations of the gym leaders in Gen 1's anime were weird. A mere child like you dares to challenge me. The very idea makes me shiver with mirth. Very well, I shall show you true terror as a ninja master. Poison brings steady doom. Sleep renders foes helpless. Despair to the creeping horror of poison-type Pokemon. Alright, starting off, Koga's going to throw at a coughing level 37 with the Levitate ability. Sludge and Toxic to throw poison on you, Smokescreen to lower your accuracy, but its most annoying attack is Self-Destruct. And I think this is actually the first time we've seen this on screen, or at least a Pokemon that has it on screen. Self-Destruct, essentially the Pokemon sacrifices all of its HP to cause an explosion that deals massive damage to the opponent. It is awful. Toxic's also a bit of an interesting ability in that it does a poison status ailment, which works as the usual ones do, but the damage it does when you take damage from poison increases subsequently with each turn. It can be pretty devastating later on in the fight. Alright, next Pokemon is a Muck. Minimize, Sludge, Toxic, and Acid Armor. Has Sticky Hold for an ability which prevents any item theft abilities from working, like the Thief attack. I think Snatch would do that too. Acid Armor intensely increases the physical defense of any given Pokemon who uses it. Vaporeon will actually learn it a little later on. It's really good. The biggest annoyance with this one is that Minimize ability, which increases evasion, I think sharply, which is at least 2 to 3 levels. However, a nice little Easter egg with that is if you use Stomp, which my Rhyhorn has, on a Pokemon who's used Minimize, its damage increases because they're smaller. There's a couple of moves where that happens. Like, I think Thunder on someone who's flying could do that. Using Earthquake on a Pokemon who's using Dig, they take more damage, so on and so forth. There's a couple of little, just nice little Easter eggs like that. This Muck is arguably the worst Pokemon on his team just because of that combination of Acid Armor increasing its defense and Minimize making it harder to hit. I've been here upwards of 20 minutes just due to this Muck before. And it's not like the attacks it has does much damage on its own, because I don't think Toxic does any damage until the poison effect kicks in. Sludge isn't too powerful from my memory. It's just kind of annoying. It's decent damage. What's the power on it? 65. Yeah, that's middle of the road, really. Because most Pokemon moves tend to do between 70 to 90, at least at this point in the game. So that's actually relatively weak. Also, my mentality when it comes to late-game Pokemon moves, there are two usual branches. Those who use the moves that are more powerful but have lower accuracy, like Pikachu's eventual Thunder, which I think has like 120 power but 70 accuracy, versus like Thunderbolt, which is like 90 power, 100 accuracy. I tend to use both, but I will gravitate more towards the more powerful ones. Either way, his second Coughing has the same level and ability, and I think it has the exact same moveset. So beware that self-destruct. This is a place where if you chose Charmander, you're going to have a pretty easy time because it should be a Charizard by this point. And Flamethrower just tears apart Koga's entire team. Alright, final Pokemon is a Weezing, level 43, which is a big level jump. Levitate, Tackle, Sludge, Smokescreen, and Toxic. Now, something I honestly should have done by this point, even though it wouldn't matter too much in this fight, aside from the Muck, just due to the fact that all the other 3 Pokemon of Koga's has Levitate, is use the Dig TM on Scott. Because Dig is a very powerful Ground-type move, despite how early we got it all the way back in Cerulean. But I just haven't yet, because frankly, I'm waiting for it to evolve, which I don't need to, but I do for some reason. You have to wait a turn between you using it and it doing damage, but it's extraordinarily powerful to make up for it. You have proven your worth. Here, take the Soul Badge. Now that you have the Soul Badge, the defense of your Pokemon rises 10%. It also lets you surf outside of battle. Take this too. And we get TM06. Sealed within that TM06 lies Toxic. It's a secret technique dating back some 400 years. Alright, cool. And as I mentioned, the poison damage increases with every turn with that. It's pretty good, honestly, if you're going for like a stall-based Pokemon type where the Pokemon has like a lot of defense or HP, or you raise it with stat buffing moves. Not bad for that. But with that, I'm going to need to end this off here. Thank you guys for watching, and in part 13, we're going to move on east from Fuchsia City before heading to a place that I've been delaying heading to for a long time. See you guys then.